and welcome to Nottingham Vet School on Sutton Bonington campus. My name's Neve and I'm a second year vet student here. Today we're going to be showing you the vet school and some of the lecture halls and rooms that you'll be using while you're studying here, and then we're going to show you the rest of the campus. So this is the atrium, this is the entrance to the vet school. In here we have our two main lecture theatres which you will use for most of your lecturing. We also have the front desk and your small group teaching rooms which you'll break out into when you're doing group work, and you can also use them for private study as well. Down the corridor is also the prelim room which prelim and gateway students will use for their teaching. In here we also have a breakout area for private study or just for chatting with your friends, and behind me is skeleton corridor which leads you to the clinical building, which we'll have a look at in a minute. So this is the main lecture theatre here at the vet school. You'll have your lectures in here from first year till fourth year, and you'll spend a lot of your time in here as lectures do take up a lot of your timetable. So this is one of the small group teaching rooms, or SGTRs. You'll be assigned one in first year, and you can come in here and do private study, or you'll come in here to work in your assigned group. Your groups change throughout the year and all the way up until fourth year, where you'll move into the clinical building. These rooms have all your books and models and equipment that you can use when you are studying, and you have access to everything in this room 24 hours a day. So now we're going to head to the clinical building. We've just come from the atrium and this is skeleton corridor. At the minute things are a little bit different, so we've got our lockers in here just to allow for a bit of extra social distancing. But we'll go to the clinical building now and show you all of the clinical SGTRs and some of the other rooms that you'll use here while you're a vet student. So this is the X-ray simulation room. In here you can practice doing your radiography and positioning animals. We've also got loads of books and resources in here to help you. You can come in here pretty much whenever you like to practice. We've also got models which you can use and get out to practice your anatomy and things like that. So now I'm just going to show you the clinical skills lab. So this is where you'll do a lot of your practical work. As you can see, the area is really large. We recently just doubled it, so we've got a lot more workspaces to work with. In here you'll be with live animals like the dogs, or you'll also do simulations. On the other side of the room are the kennels, which have also just doubled in size as well. All of our teaching dogs belong to our staff members, so that's really nice that we get to work with them. And then at the back of the room is the doors which lead to the stables and the menage, where we will work with the live horses. So now we're just going to take you up the clinical corridor, which is where the clinical small group teacher rooms are, which you'll use in your clinical years, and it's also where the clinical skills centre has moved from, just to give us a little bit more space with the restrictions. This is also where the clinical SGTRs are, which you'll use in your clinical years, so third and fourth year. And this is the clinical skills centre. So this used to be in a different room, but because of the restrictions we moved it up here just to give us more space and to let the students still use it. So you can come in here and book the space during the day, and there are lots of skills that you can practice, and you can do them independently or with your friends or your housemates, but there is also always a lecturer here that can help you with those skills. So these are some light microscopes which you'll use from first year. You can come here, learn how to set them up or practice your skills, and then you can come and look in the boxes, grab some histology slides, take them out and have a look on the microscope and test your skills. So this is one of our ultrasound machines which you can practice scanning some dogs with, or you can actually practice on yourself if you want to. You can look at your tendons and things like that. And then we've got some resources around here as well, so you can look at how to scan certain organs if you wanted to revise that. So this is the ophthalmology station. You can practice your ophthalmology exams. There's all the equipment that you need here to use. There's also some books for resources that you can look at. And then over here we've got things like canine muzzles, so you can practice putting muzzles on. And then here is a feline thyroid simulation, so you can practice trying to feel the thyroid gland, which is something that you'll learn in second year, and then you can come here to practice it for your exams. This is a more surgical station, so you can practice your bandaging on some of the stuffed dogs, and you can also practice your gowning and your gloving for when you're in your clinical years and going out on your clinical placements. So these are some of the farm and equine skills that you'll have to practice. For example, we've got rumen fluid examination, milk sampling, and then we've got things like ropes, so you can practice head collars and things like that. And then there's some more equine-based skills, like again, ropes so you can handle them. And then just over here, we've actually got one of our equine models. So if you want to practice putting a rug on or putting a head collar on one of the horses, you can do it on here before you go and do it on a live horse. This is another surgical station, so you've got all of your equipment here that you'd ever need to do surgery. You've also got things like suture pads, and then you've got your suture material, and you can practice your suturing, again, before you go out on clinical placements and also for your exams. So this is one of the blood sampling simulations. You can use all of the equipment and practice restraining the animal and then taking the blood from the animal. It's all very simple to use, and there'll always be a lecturer here that can help guide you if you're not quite sure. This is another simulation, so this is pretending to be an equine foot, and then you can use these pins to try and find where you would put a nerve block for an equine. And this is another of our surgical stations. You can practice so many anaesthesia skills here, things like intubation, working the anaesthesia machines, and looking at the different breathing systems. You can also practice the fluid therapy that you'll give to patients when they're under anaesthetic. And then over here we've got an ECG simulator. So we've got an actual machine which you can use, and you'll practice on your stuffed dog. So now we're just going to take you into dissection. This is the area where you'll do a lot of dissection, and that takes up a big bulk of our work here at the vet school. One of the things about Nottingham is that we really are practical from day one. So you will be here in prelim year, in first year, right the way through till fourth year before you go out on rotations. So once you've come through the locker room, you'll come in and grab your PPE. It's really important to wear PPE in the dissection room because we are dealing with specimens and cadaver material. So we obviously don't want to get contaminated material on us, nor do we want to potentially spread anything around. The PPE has enhanced now because of the restrictions, but this would just be normal PPE anyway, just to keep us safe. So this is dissection. In here you'll be doing practicals with cadaver material, with specimens. They might be fixed specimens that we've had for a while, or there could be fresh ones that come in when we need them. You'll also be doing things like simulations as well, and you could be looking at things like skeletons and things like that as well. So this is the surgery teaching lab. In here, it's a bit of a smaller room, so in here you'll come out into smaller groups. You might be working on microscopes and looking at some histology, or you might be practicing your surgery techniques with a lecturer. So these are the stables and the menage, the indoor riding arena. These are where the teaching horses are kept, but also the student horses. So if you do have a horse, you can apply to keep your horse here on campus if you want. We use the horses for teaching, and then at the back there is also some poultry that we use for teaching as well. So this is the small holding. In this building is our exotic animals, so like reptiles and snakes. And then in the building behind is where we house our sheep and our cows. We use all of these animals for practical teaching. You'll come down here usually at least once a week and be hands-on with these animals. And then sometimes in here we also house pigs. So this is the North Lab, or we also call it the Super Lab. It is quite a new facility we have on Sutton Bonington. So it's a paperless lab. When we go in, we have to wear the correct PPE and we work from tablets. In here, you'll be doing some practical teaching, maybe working with microscopes and looking at histology, or doing some simulations or some lab tests. In here, you'll spend a lot of time in year one in here and in prelim, and then throughout the course into your clinical years as well. So this is one of our accommodation blocks on Sutton Bonington campus. This one is right opposite the vet school. All of our accommodation is run by Campus Living Villages, and there are a few more accommodation blocks further down the campus. If you're a first year, you're guaranteed to get accommodation on campus if you choose to take it or not. So this is the Sports Centre. It's just across the road from the university. You can literally walk here after a lecture or after a practical. You can buy a yearly sports membership, which gives you access to all of the facilities here, as well as the facilities on University Park and Jubilee campus. The facilities we have here are an indoor gym, a huge basketball court, which you can put down into badminton or squash courts. We've also got a dance studio. We have a small rock climbing wall, and then outside we've got football pitches, rugby pitches, AstroTurf, and then some courts as well that you can play. Some of the sports that we have here include football, running, basketball, rugby, hockey, and then you can go on to other campuses and do things like lacrosse. And then off campus we've also got things like riding, so you can go and you can get horse riding lessons in the next town along. So there's a lot of sport that you can get involved in here on SB. So this is the James Cameron Gifford Library. This is our library here on Sutton Bonington. You can come here and do private study. You can book group spaces if you want to work with your friends. You can also use the computers inside or bring your own laptop. There are all the books you could ever need for your vet degree here in the library. So you can come and loan them out whenever you want, or you can come into the library and just use them as you want to. The library, it extends into the back of the building, so there's lots of spaces where you can go and do your work. Some are private and quiet areas, but some are a bit more sociable where you can hang out with your friends as well. So this is the barn, which is our main social hub on campus. It houses the downstairs area, which is a social space with a bar, and it's also got the dining room upstairs, where if you eat in when you live in halls, you'll go and have all your main meals in there. And then it also has the guild space, which is the Sutton Bonington equivalent of the Students' Union. So it's our own little representation for our students. So the guild space is in there. They put on a lot of events throughout the year in the barn. So we have lots of barn parties. We also have dining-ins, like formal dinners. And then societies like SB Music will put on events upstairs. There's always lots of things going on in the barn that you can get involved in. It's also a space where you can just go and chill with your friends or eat your lunch. It's always open and free to use. So this is the Arboretum on campus. You can come here whenever you want. It's the perfect space for catching up with friends or just going for a walk, maybe at lunchtime or after lectures. Depending on the time of the year, there might be some events going on. And yeah, especially at this time of the year with restrictions, it's such a lovely space to just come and have a little look at nature, have a little look at all the plants and everything that are around, and it's just a really nice chill space to come and collect your thoughts. So that is the end of our tour. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this has given you a little insight to the community that we've got here on SB and has really shown you what our campus is about. If you do have any further questions, then please don't hesitate to go to our website, which is www.nottingham.ac.uk/vet, and there's an inquiries form that you can fill out and then someone will get in touch with you. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Bye.